Welcome to the Catbird Quilts. I'm Kathy Martin, and today I'm going to show you the DIY spray starch recipe that I use and give you a few tips and tricks that I've learned in the process. So stay with me. As always, I have a lot to say about this topic, just like every other topic. But for those of you just looking for the DIY spray starch recipe, number one, the link to the website that I used to find the recipe to begin with is in the description. Number two, you can just go to Geeky Bobbin. That's the website, Geeky Bobbin, and you'll find it there as well. But I'm going to still show you anyway. So I was quilting one day, doing the piecing for a quilt, and realized that my pieces were not holding the shape that I was pressing them in. And I realized that I would probably benefit from a little spray starch. I was probably using cotton poly men shirts. So I stopped and went to my linen closet only to find that I had used up all but just 3 drops of my store-bought spray starch. And rather than get in the car and go the 5 minutes to the grocery store and probably 5 minutes in the grocery store and 5 minutes home, so the whopping 15 to maybe 20 minutes that it would have taken me, I spent that same period of time Googling how to make your own spray starch, which brought me to the Geeky Bobbin website, and found this recipe, tried it, I liked it, and so I'm going to show you how to do it on camera just because, for fun, today. And then I will show you some things that I've learned about it, making my own spray starch this way. So the first thing that you need is a 1/4 cup of cold water or cool water. I just use tap water. And your actual cornstarch. I happen to have Argo. This whole 16-ounce jar of spray starch, for heaven's sake. Cornstarch is probably $2 here where I live, maybe $3. I actually, in prep for this video, I Googled how much it costs to buy pre-made spray starch in the spray bottle, and it's around $3 to maybe $4. So I'm going to use 1 to 2 tablespoons full. So that's how far this will go versus the $3 to $4 in 1 container of spray starch. So I use a mason jar, kind of a large mason jar, and it's 1 to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and that 1/4 cup of water. Now, when you first pour your water in, it is going to be clumpy. And so you want to, I'm using a little mini whisk. You could use a big whisk. You could use a fork, whatever works for you. But I'm basically making a slurry, which, by the way, is an actual pharmacy term, slurry. So I'm just trying to kind of dissolve this cornstarch into the cold water, which I've just about achieved. And then, so that's kind of mixed in. I don't see any obvious lumps or clumps. It will feel initially when you start like you're stirring glue, because honestly, you're stirring glue. So that's that. And then my lovely assistant is going to bring our kettle with boiling water over to me. We recently got a new kettle, and I cannot tell you how much I enjoy this kettle. You can see the water all the way through because it's got this glass. And when we flip the kettle on, it has a blue light, which makes the water and the glass blue. And honestly, I could just stand there and watch water boil. I don't know what that says about me, but I will say I've always loved the blue lights, like blue lights on Christmas trees and blue lights on houses around Christmas time. So it's 2 cups of boiling water. You can see it is boiling. And I'm going to pour that in and probably spill it, which is why I have the tea towel on my station. Okay, so that's it. So, ta-da! Video done. So you start that up, and you can add drops of essential oil. I use lavender because I like it, and it just smells like clean laundry to me. The actual recipe on the website says that you should wait till this cools. I never do. I don't know. I gave this or I shared this recipe with my friend Jennifer, and she used lavender. Am I out of my lavender? Probably. She said something about her lavender mixed in with the cornstarch and the boiling water that it smelled atrocious. And she said she had very good quality essential oil, lavender essential oil. Mine is probably not good quality. I am sure I picked it up at some random place, but it smells okay to me. So just know, if you put an essential oil into your, what will be spray starch, it might not smell great. And maybe if you wait until it cools, it will have a better chance of smelling great. So, but again, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and water. It's not like we're out a whole lot here. So this is obviously boiling hot. It's in a glass jar. What I do if I need it right away is I get a big, we have a big metal bowl, and I run cool water in it, and I just sit this down with the lid on it loosely into the metal bowl, and the metal conducts the heat through the water, and it cools it down a little bit faster. So if you need your spray starch right away, then you can do that. Or you can, if you have a metal sink, you can just run your metal sink with cool water and sit your jar, whatever you've chosen in. A lot of times that will just kind of cool it down a little faster. So that's really it. I put a lid on mine, and I keep it in the fridge, which you will need to keep it in the fridge because it will rot. It will spoil. I don't know if you've ever seen any of Michael Pollan's stuff about food, and he says real food rots. So cornstarch is real food. And so if you left a thing of flour and poured water on it and put it in the corner of your kitchen, it would eventually start bubbling from the bacteria that grows on it. Same kind of idea. So you want to keep it in your fridge. The website advises 2 weeks storage. I have gone far further than 2 weeks with no ill effects. But I will tell you, once you get it in your spray bottle, you either have to remember to put your spray bottle in the fridge, or you have to remember to pour it back into your jar and rinse your spray bottle out really well. Because one time I forgot, and I just had it up on my shelf that's above where I usually have an ironing board right here behind me, and I have all my supplies just on a shelf right above that. And I didn't think about the fact that I had not refrigerated the actual spray bottle, and I sprayed it down, and the minute the heat hit it, putrid is the word that comes to mind. So just remember that. So either label your jar or label your spray bottle. It needs to be in the fridge. And the person who wrote the recipe says 2 weeks. You can proceed with caution if you go beyond 2 weeks. So I want to show you a couple of things. And so I'm going to move some things around and come right back. I'm back. So this is my little spray bottle. I will confess that I only recently got this pretty little bottle. I had been using actually an old empty manufactured spray bottle that I had dropped so many times that the spray part was missing plastic. And I decided recently that I was tired of looking at it. So this is just a spray bottle that I picked up at probably Target. It has condensation on it because it's been in the fridge. Probably wise, the Bobby from Geeky Bobbin suggests that you put a sticky note or a label or whatever that says shake well. because you're going to need to shake well. Let me show you. This is what it looks like. This is some that I've made. I don't know how long ago I made this, but can you see how it's settled? There's like half an inch or more of water and then the glue in the bottom. I kind of want to open and smell this because I'm wondering if it has actually gotten bad, but I keep it like this and I just shake it up really good, which is the beauty of having a good screw top on it. And so you can see that it does, mix back in pretty well. This one that I literally just made on camera, I don't know if you can see that. It's actually already starting to settle. So you need to remember to shake your spray. If you fill up your spray bottle and keep this in the fridge, you need to remember to shake it. And I have this, I guess I just have this for aesthetic value because I'm not about to pour this from a jar into a spray bottle with the funnel on camera because I will have it all over me and all over my sewing table. And I probably should do that. We'd all get a good laugh, but I'm not going to do that. So get yourself a funnel just to make yourself, it's so much easier. This is some green linen, that crazy lime green chartreuse linen that I sprayed with the spray starch. And you can't tell because it's light. It's just a light color. I can feel it. It's a little bit rougher in the places where the spray starch was. But I did want to show you by contrast. So this is the light color with the spray starch on it. Again, no touch and feel button on YouTube, sadly. This is a cotton blend. I think it's actually just cotton. And I hope you can see all of the spots on this. So I will tell you that I made this worse by intentionally making it not a fine mist. So I turned my little spray bottle sprayer and made it where it was like big drops. And this is even after shaking it. So I'm going to show you that again because honestly, I think that would be such a beautiful print. Like if I was designing prints for quilting cottons, I would do this one. I think that would be like the coolest thing because it still retains the navy, but it has all that white. But anyway, that's aside. So you're going to have one of these sometime and you're going to, if you do this and you're going to spray it and go, because when you're working with it, then sewing, it feels like it's messed up, but it washes out, which is the beauty of spray starch. Well, I can promise you that. I don't want you to have fear because a recent quilt that I finished had a very dark brown and the whole thing looked like this. And I'm sure my friend Sissy that quilted it probably looked at the brown and thought, good gracious, what did she do with that fabric? But she sent it back to me and I washed it and you cannot tell. There is no residue. You cannot see it. But just know, dark fabrics, you're going to have a moment where you feel like maybe you've messed it up. Bobby from Geeky Bobbin also says, I have not had this experience, probably because I'm not this together. If you spray your fabric in advance, you want to probably seal it, like put it in a sealed container. Because it is cornstarch and because it is real food, it might attract the pests, the little critters. I have not had that experience, but again, what I do is I have shirts and I break them down, cut them all apart into pieces, and then I just fold the clean fabric and put it in my fabric stash. And then when I get ready to start quilting with it, generally, like if I know I'm going to be sewing the next day, the night before, I mist the entire piece of fabric with the spray starch, but not on the clumpy phase, on the like tight, fine mist. And I lay it out either on my sewing table or on a clean floor overnight and let it dry. And that has worked for me because it dries and soaks in, and then you have this and it's ready to go. So especially great for linen, Oxford cloth, other open weaves that ravel easily. So that's something to consider. You can use it just wet. So just like you would if you were starching a shirt that you were going to wear. Although, for example, I would not put it on this shirt because then I would go to work looking like I had gotten sprayed down with something, which would of course be the case. So you can use it wet, but you want to be careful not to scorch your iron. So, and sometimes if you've had this, I've had this experience with manufactured spray starch where you spray it maybe a little more heavily than you intend to, and you put a hot iron on it and it'll either stick or sometimes it'll actually dry it so quickly it'll lift off and it'll look like just like flaky, well, like dried glue, because basically it's dried glue. So sometimes that will end up on the surface of your piecing if you spray it wet and then iron it while it's still wet. It's kind of one of those no harm, no foul. It doesn't really hurt your piecing, but I would be careful not to scorch it. The appeal to making your own spray starch, and the reason why I've continued to do it, is I just make what I need. And then if I end up not using it and it spoils, it's 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And so I just rinse it with warm water and start again, because I go through phases where I'll be doing a lot of piecing and then the next thing I know, I'm into quilting and I don't need spray starch, or I'll be binding for however long that takes me. So it's just, you can make it as you need it. It is very, very affordable as opposed to needing, manufactured spray starch, and, spending $3 or $4 on a bottle that once it's gone, it's gone. You can't make, you can make more, which is why I make more. So, it started off just as I don't want to go to the grocery store, and has become this is so easy and so cheap that I just keep doing it. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you've gotten some ideas. If you're real particular and you don't want to see those starch spots, or if you're someone who starches your fabric way in advance, I cannot attest to it attracting critters, but I'll take the recipe writer's word for it. So just know all those things going in. I hope you get to make really cheap starch just like me, and that it works for you. And so that's, I guess, it for today. I'm Kathy Martin. This is the Catbird Quilts. Thank you so much for watching.